Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello, welcome to Popternative. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. You know, we talk about a lot of different things on this show. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, sports, everything really depending on the guest. And my guest wears many hats: actor, writer, producer, comedian. You'll recognize her as one half of Nicholas Stick Gaines' parents on Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney Plus. Amy Goodmurphy is with us. Amy, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here.
I mentioned in my intro, like, the many hats. Is that something for you that it just kind of happened, or did you know you wanted to do a lot of different things in the entertainment realm?
Great question.
Because I feel like it's 50-50, right? Some people gravitate towards it, and some people have it in the back of their mind.
You know, I think when I started out, it was purely comedy. So for me, I mean, I always kind of knew I wanted to act, but it was always comedy. I knew once I hit the stage live with comedy, I was like, whoa, nothing is ever going to compare to this feeling. And then I started booking more roles on film and TV, and I was like, oh, nothing's going to compare to this feeling. So having melded the two, I think has been my best feeling, for lack of a better term. But I love both, and I love wearing all the hats. The more that I experience, and the more even I see behind the camera and I've done some directing myself and a little bit of producing. So even that, I really enjoy as well.
Yeah, you've done a lot of different things. It's cool, but it makes you well-rounded. But I think it's one of those things too where, like, kudos and props to you to be able to do a lot of those things. Because I feel I'm in the same way too. But there's a lot of people you ask, like, they probably want to do a lot of things, but it's just the comfort zones, right? Maybe it's just like it's difficult for them. You know what I mean?
I mean, PD, I never said I was good at any of them. I just said I do them. No one ever has told me I'm good at anything. I just do it.
But you know what I mean, right? Like, you're used to acting and doing comedy, and then someone's like, okay, go edit this or go film this. You're like, what? Like,
totally. Yeah, or go write this, star this, produce this, and then direct yourself in it. And I'm like, okay, yep, I'll put that. But I love it.
Absolutely. So, Mighty Ducks Game Changers, I mean, was a big deal when it was announced. It's always a big deal for me. It's always a big deal for the show. It's just a big deal. I grew up in Canada. The movies, love it. That's all I can say. Like,
I'm in the exact same boat as you, my friend. I absolutely peed my pants when I found out I had the audition. I never thought I was going to get this. If I am just truth, cards on the table, I got this audition. I thought, oh my God, of course I freaked out when I saw what it was for. I had a 15-minute window to do this audition. In my spare room with my stepmom on the phone as the reader. And I thought, there's no way, but I was like, it was all the nerves happening, but I was like, imagine I got this, that'd be so funny. Well, fast forward, however much longer later, and when I got the call, I lost my mind. Like, I'm sure every single interview that you've done for this particular show, everybody is just lost. This is like a dream to bring your childhood into something like that, and to have this opportunity and to have it be funny. It's not even like, I don't know. It's just all my worlds colliding.
I'm just so happy. Like, every time I watch it on Fridays, I'm just happy. Like, I just get so happy because it's just like, it's a good feeling. It's talking to Matt Doherty, who played Lester Averman in the original movies. It's like a warm, it's like a cozy blanket that you just like put on. You know what I mean? Like,
he's just so warm. You want to take him home, go to sleep.
It's amazing. It's funny because I was also talking to Antonio Cayon, who plays Sophie Hansen-Bat's dad on the show, and like, I watch a lot of TV shows, but like, there's nothing that comes close to how much I'm enjoying this show. I think it's the nostalgia and stuff, but it's like it's crazy right now. Do you think it's interesting? Like, when you got the role, and you're gonna be like, Nick the Stick Gaines' mom and everything, who's like the best character on the show. We're gonna get into that. Yeah, you lucked up there. Not only did you get not only are you on the show,
his little coattails. I just grabbed onto his little cape, and I'm just water skiing behind him.
The sleepover episode was amazing. That was awesome.
So fun to do. Have you talked to Coop? You've talked to Luke?
I did. Yeah, he's been on the show. The singing, that whole scene. What was the whole scene like? That whole sequence like?
I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
So we're in, I knew, I did some Googling before. I wanted to know who was going to be a part. When I got the cast list,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I should familiarize myself with people there. And I looked up Luke and I thought, wow, he was on America's Got Talent. That's so cool. And I listened to some of his live performances. Anyways, I had no idea at that point that we were going to have a front row seat, the only private concert of his real voice. That was not like, he was not lip syncing. He was standing in that living room and he sang, and we were supposed to be moved by the performance. They were like, yeah, you know, let's give it a
Was
little
that actually your response? Yeah. Like
I was crying. I couldn't believe it. And then we had to move on to the next scene and I was frozen in my, Jane and I were both like, sorry, Luke, are you human? Because that was unbelievable. He's so talented and he is the kindest, sweetest, softest little man ever.
It's funny because, you know, all my Mighty Ducks Game Changers have been like filmed at different times, right? Depending on the availability and how they happen. So different interviews have different stuff, right? Like sometimes it's like pre-premiere, sometimes it's afterwards, right? So for him, it was like, it wasn't out yet, but like we were talking about like, I just loved like in the trailer when they show like the grab, when he grabs the bottle and you're kind of, you know, he's going to be the goalie. And he was kind of like, maybe, like, you never know. I'm like, no, you're the goalie. Like, can we talk about, and he actually talked about it. His manager was like, no, it's good. Like, Disney said we could talk about it, but it was so funny. What is your favorite thing though? If like about, like we talked about how awesome is the nostalgia, the hockey, the sports. It's funny, it's cozy. Is there one thing you like the most about the show so far?
You know, it sounds so lame to be like, I can't choose one. There's so many things that stand out, but it is just so true. Like this show has so many things going for it. And I feel super privileged and really lucky to be a part of it. I think the first thing, if I'm being honest, and just what comes out to me is that it's really beautiful and special personally for me to be playing the role of one of two moms in a family.
Yes. Huge.
Yeah. And I didn't see a lot of that growing up. And for me to be able to be a part of that, and Brill and the team, the writers have just written it so beautifully. And we're just a family. It's not really talked about. We're just, you know, living this regular, normal life, which is what we should be doing, as opposed to, you know, putting a big spotlight on it and like, ooh, this is so different. Well, no, it's not. These families exist and it's beautiful. And yeah, I think that for me is personally really special.
And your screen son, played by Maxwell Simkins, is like the best.
Okay,
the best.
I need to tell you.
I want to hear all of it. Go for it.
There's so many things. That man, I think I called him a boy on set or something. He was like, I'm not a boy, I'm a man. He said something like that to me, so I'm trying to remember. And he's so talented, truly though. Like I would hear him rapping. He's a rapper. Did you know that?
Oh, he's been on the show. He's been on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. So I would be in my trailer and I'd hear him. He'd come knock on the door, or you'd hear him out there because you always did. And he would make all the parents, like that's who we kind of spent most of the time with, was like all the kids who played the parents of the kids. Yeah. He would walk over by himself with his dad in tow somewhere, usually, who's lovely too. And he would start rap battles. He'd say, okay, we're all going to go in a circle.
It does not surprise me. That's awesome.
I have videos of it, and we're rapping with this guy, and all of these parents, all different ages and from different places, and like we're old, right? And he's amazing. Anyways, he was lovely and it was fun, and he is so funny. It's weird.
But you've been doing this here's the thing too, right? Like you've been doing this for a good amount of time, and you know, like some of the episodes he's not the focal point, right? Like some episodes focus on certain teammates of the Don't Bothers, right? Like, and he's in all of them. But when he has scenes, like he steals them basically.
Katie, when you're in the room and he starts saying his first sentence, I am dying inside because I'm like, be professional, be professional. You're obsessed with this kid. It's weird. Like he's so funny. He turns every line. They're so professional. Like it's actually, it was an incredible experience for me because I hadn't worked with, I've done a few things with, you know, children of that age or teenagers, small men, Max, if you're watching. And he and the rest of them, but yeah, I'll favor him because he's my son. I'm allowed. Yeah. He just killed it. Like they were so professional and they knew their lines and they delivered them and they took direction. And long days, Petey, like they were
Yeah.
there, I was constantly asking their real parents how they were doing because I thought, they'd probably tell me they were excited, but they were like, no, they're okay. Like their energy, they're excited, they're stoked to be here. And yeah, it was neat to see.
Now
He's a standout.
I think the answer to this question is no, from what I'm gathering based on talking to other people. But were you, because you all had different, like the parents had different days on set than certain days. Were you around when the OG Ducks came to set?
No.
Okay, so like
We were
Antonio,
so
you weren't
bummed.
there. Yeah, okay, yeah.
No. No, but we were just, like, so bummed. All of us were talking, we're like, we heard they're coming back, and, like, you only get little bits of information,
Well,
right,
I
with people in our
interviewed
position.
Marguerite, who played Connie Moreau, and people are
Yes.
just like loving that interview. Like it's becoming one of my
Oh,
biggest interviews on my show. And like she was, like she was talking about like the whole like quarantine, and they were all together in a hotel room because someone got COVID. And I was just like, oh my
oh.
god, this is insane.
Filming during this time, and, like, we were
Yeah,
so lucky that Disney really had it like, they were really on it, and they had I don't know if you've talked much about, like, their structure there, but, like, we were getting tested
yeah, oh
constantly.
yeah, for sure.
And, so they were really good about it, but, and COVID, we call the COVID police, where all they had people on staff everywhere. Like I stepped out of my trailer once by accident, like literally took a step and my mask hadn't
Yeah.
been put on yet because I wasn't thinking for a second. And I heard Amy, put your mask on. And I was like, oh my God. But it was fantastic. Marguerite, I have never met her, but her husband is a really good friend of my good friend.
Yes.
And I've hung out with her husband before indirectly through them. And I was dying to meet her because I have heard, like, firsthand from her close friends that she is a beautiful, wonderful person. So I bet
She
your interview was great.
she was so like she was so happy about like the new flock coming in, and it was
Oh,
just it's just it's weird for me. It's kind of like it's weird like. So you said, for you a little bit like a dream come true type thing, right? Like going like working on a show like Mighty Ducks, you knew the movies growing up. It's the same for me, like getting like you're acting in a show, but I'm like interviewing people from movies I like grew up with. Like sometimes
yeah.
it doesn't like it doesn't make sense to me sometimes.
It's amazing. Well, obviously you're very good at it and people want to be on your show. So you're doing a really good job.
I think this is me, but I think you'll understand where I'm coming from. So, you and Jane play Max's parents on the show, and I overanalyze things, so this is me. But like, you know how like when we first meet you, like when they do like the roll call, when Lauren Graham
Yeah.
is like introducing, you could see there's like a chemistry with you two. There's something there. There's something there, even from that just sequence where we meet you two. It's just like I feel like it's like bottled up, and it's like trying to like get out like so much fun. There's like, do you know what I mean? A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Jane won't admit it, but she's in love with me. And I've turned her down so many
Like you could
times. I'm
tell
like,
you're
I'm in a
both
relationship.
comedians. Like you could tell you're both comedians. That's the thing,
You
right?
know what? We got in touch before. Jane and I are in the same comedy circle in Vancouver, but we never crossed paths because I do sketch comedy and she does stand up. So
Oh,
we have a lot of common friends and venues, but we never crossed paths. But we had three or four skating lessons before we went to camera because I don't ice skate and I don't play
yeah.
ice hockey. So
That was a
yeah, we had
huge
to
episode. The mom skills. That was so big scale.
PD.
Yeah.
They had us on the ice. Dave Tomlinson,
Yep.
who used
The
to
hockey
play,
coordinator. Yep.
yes, like phenomenal man, so patient. He taught us so many things. But yeah, it was like if I should send you footage of us at those first practices were horrific. We were smashing, falling. Jane was holding on to the side. Basically, her first three practices were just holding on to the edge of the ice. But yeah, we got to know each other there and basically just made fun of each other the whole time. And we were like, oh, we like each other. So it was like having one of my close friends. We just laughed all the days we laughed and it was so much fun. So yeah, we were connecting before we went to camera for sure.
So I do have to ask, kind of getting away from the Mighty Ducks a little bit, the sketch comedy specifically. I'm really interested about
Ooh.
this because I do ask questions on my show to get kind of out. My viewers, I think, love the fact that I have wholesome, fun conversations, but they get to like learn little things that they don't know about, right? So people know about sketch comedy, right? But they
Mhm.
might not know about like what it actually takes and how it comes to be. Are there any misconceptions about sketch comedy on the top of your head? Like someone will be like, Amy, like sketch comedy is like this, right? You're like, oh no, it's the complete opposite. Like what are some misconceptions on top of your head about like sketch comedy, Amy?
I don't know. so much about misconceptions right off the top of my head, but something that you're sort of making me along the same lines is like, first of all, when you tell someone you're a sketch comedian, no one ever knows what the hell. They're like, oh, it's stand up. So you do jokes, it's stand up. No, I literally just said sketch. And the biggest comedy television show ever is SNL. That is sketch comedy. But it's interesting. No one ever knows what that is. I think maybe the biggest misconception is that like, what is sketch comedy and how what exactly where do you go and where do you play
is it? Yeah.
yeah, and who comes and what does that look like? And I'm like, we are very lucky. My comedy partner Ryan Steele and I, we sell out, very lucky. We've been doing this a very long time, but we sell out shows and we have great viewership and a really lovely following. And but when I talk to someone who doesn't know anything about it, they're just like, oh, that's cute, like a little pat on the you do
Or
sketch,
like,
you
or
do
even
skits?
like, oh, cool. Like not more than that. Right?
That's it. Then the conversation ends and I'm like, okay, nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's not it's such a huge type of comedy, but no one really uses the word sketch comedy, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Now you are a comedian, so I have to do this right now. And then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do this bit or whatever you call this, and then I'll explain to you how it came to be. And disclaimer: these are not my jokes, but I am a dad joke connoisseur, Amy. Like I have a lot of dad jokes. Wildfire. Did you hear about the kidnapping?
No.
It's okay. He woke up. Okay. Those stairs behind you. Don't trust those stairs. Don't trust those stairs. They're always up to something.
Okay.
Okay. I had that joke about construction. I'm gonna save it because I'm still working on it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I got them quick.
Needy, you are better than 90% of the stand-ups out there. You really got to hit the stage. What are you doing? Get out of here.
Are you
Go hit the stage.
Are sketch? Here's a question for you: are sketch comedians good liars?
Yes.
Well, the thing is, here's what happened. Basically, I'm doing a lot of these interviews, Amy, with people on like huge shows like Outer Banks on Netflix and everything. And like last year, started the pandemic, and I'm like, these people are doing a lot of interviews. They're probably asked like the same questions like over and over, and they are like, you do your research and everything. So I'm like, what can I do that are like different? So I had this like dad joke book just sitting around, and I was like, for joking about it. So then like someone brought up Jonathan Davis brought up like pranks on set at Outer Banks, because that was like the big COVID show last year, right, that everyone watched on Netflix. And I started giving him dad jokes, and he was like losing his mind and like laughing to the point where then like I would do it in other bits, and like publicists would be like, by the way, like our client wants you to tell him like dad jokes. So it's like a thing, you know what I mean? Like,
that's awesome. It's good. I'm already having so much more fun than I've had in a long time. So you're doing good.
I appreciate that. I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. This was awesome. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you, Petey. This is so cool. I feel really lucky. So thank you.
Can you plug away? Like people can follow you on social media, but and they go, well, first of all, Mighty Ducks Game Changers is on Fridays on Disney Plus.
That's right. Yes. So check it out. New episodes come out every Friday. I play Paula. And I'm part of a sketch comedy show called The Ryan and Amy Show. You can follow us on Instagram. It's probably the best place.
There's some funny stuff there, like really funny stuff.
Not for the faint of heart. Make sure your parents say it's okay. And then you can also follow me at Amy Ricky G. That's G-E-E on Instagram.
Incredible. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, until next time, this is Amy Goodmurphy and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.